getting for the last 24 hours. It looks like the turning off of the internet, the electricity, the water, closing all the shops in Dar es Salaam, Arusha, Dodoma, was not to restore order, but to facilitate what is looking like a genocide. We are getting messages from our family and friends in Tanzania who are saying that the police have been going door to door looking for young men, torturing them, taking them elsewhere, torturing them, and doing unspeakable things to the women. This will not end well for her, because the spirit of the Tanzanians remains strong. And even today, on day 5, they are still on the streets saying they want their Tanzania back. They want their nation back. Her with her guns, her tear gas, her mercenaries, is literally declaring war on her people. And I told you, family, Samia is what they call permanently possessed or permanently mounted by a marine spirit, which is either a reptilian or a demon or something. And so she has no mercy, which is the only way you can explain her taking out. Some are saying thousands, and we pray it's not hundreds of thousands. And she has the audacity to swear herself in today at a military base in a private event where the public will not be invited. After the sham elections where she said 31 million Tanzanians voted and she won by 98%. Elections that New Zealand, the divided kingdom, and other European nations have called a sham. And yet her fellow dictators, like Nabii here in Kenya, Museveni, everyone is silent. I think even the African Union has congratulated them. That's why they all must fall in this new dispensation. To my Tanzanian brothers and sisters, I know the internet is closed, but I send this to you in spirit and in soul. Stand firm. Do not back down. If she can do this while you are fighting for your freedom, imagine what she will do if you were to stop. Turning off the internet was just a cover for these atrocities. But now she's turned off the electricity, the water. All shops are closed. People are saying that if you don't shop within your neighborhood, because the shops are afraid to open, so you have to shop within your neighborhood and they have to recognize you. So when you knock on a shop somewhere, they're like, who is it? Ni nani? And if they don't recognize your voice, it's a wrap. Family all over the world, pray for our brothers in Tanzania and our sisters in Tanzania. Call on the ancestors to intervene. Call on the Most High for a divine intervention. And all those who have lost their lives must and will return. Because we are not physical, we are spirit, man and woman. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. You cannot eliminate us. You cannot eliminate us. We come back more angry, more ruthless, more ready. We continue to stand with Tanzania. Freedom is a must. And may all those who have caused this harm, this distress, this pain, be for their crimes.
Hey, welcome back to our channel. I want to thank you for joining wherever you are joining us from around the world. We salute you and we appreciate your time as always. It is important for the continent of Africa to understand that the continent is at a crossroad at the moment, as events across the country of Tanzania, and more importantly Central Africa, looking at West African nations. It is a time when the citizens and nationals start asking questions, and more importantly, everything in the continent of Africa should not be tied to politics. There must be a time when African nationals, and more importantly, their elected representative, should step up to the plate and speak out and ask questions and demand a number of answers. These are challenging times. African countries are observing the tremendous development, the AIs of the world, the transformation, the information superhighway. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because if you've ever heard about the IPU, the Interparliamentary Union of the continent of Africa, it's a kind of a body that brings together parliaments from across the continent of African nations to come in to talk about democracy, talk about development and growth and some kind of accountability. But that's not what is happening. This particular body is dormant at the moment, and we've seen events across the countries in Cameroon and looking at what's happening in the country of Ivory Coast, and more importantly the latest in the country of Tanzania. Some of these parliamentarians are silent. They can speak so loud when it comes to foreign partners trying to intervene in the continent of Africa. It is about time for African parliamentarians and officials to come out and start talking on issues that are relevant to their own people. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because an amazing parliamentarian or an official looking at a politician in the country of Kenya has come out clear, has reminded the IPU, the Interparliamentary Union officials who go there, to sit up and start speaking on behalf of their people and don't go there and do politics. African officials and citizens are paying closer attention like never before seen. In his outing, the parliamentarian spoke on the shameful election results coming out from some countries across the continent of Africa and how embarrassing in the Africa's own image globally. In looking at his own perspective, he went ahead and lambasted the situation in the country of Tanzania, more importantly across the region. To give you more context on this, let's go and hear what these amazing parliamentarians spoke on with regards to the emerging issues and burning challenges that are affecting the countries across the region. Let's play this clip.
Was founded was to further, Mr. Speaker, amongst other things, democracy in the community of nations of the world. Mr. Speaker, I congratulate Senator Catherine Muma for participating in this very important conference together with our colleagues. And because we have no other way we can express some of these things, if indeed IPU was about the greater role of democratizing within communities of the world, I urge the IPU to up their game, to find the strength to speak to African leaders. Mr. Speaker, today we are seeing presidential elections in African countries being conducted by the sitting presidents in office who give no role to the electoral commissions in their countries. In the process, Mr. Speaker, their opponents are locked out of the race, their opponents are arrested, their opponents are detained, their opponents are abducted, their opponents are even killed, Mr. Speaker.
The parliamentarian never ended there. He called out the African Union. He questioned the African Union's own particular role. And some African Union leaders and officials are out there eating fat and, more importantly, going to issue some kind of congratulatory messages in a whole lot of other areas, considering the aspect that they, according to his own perspective, that the African Union is there to support each other instead of tackling the challenges that the continent of African nations are facing. The citizens across the continent of Africa so far do not have the voice that is necessary for them to talk on their own internal issue. These parliamentarians went above and beyond and called out the system that the African Union should bear responsibility and sit up and take some full control as to regards to the challenges in the continent of Africa. Let's play this clip.
The IPU must take over the role of the African Union, because the African Union, instead of speaking to this, they are busy congratulating their colleagues. The African Union has now become a talk shop, a special club for African presidents to protect each other. Mr. Speaker, we know of recent elections in Africa where senior African politicians have witnessed elections in their countries from prison, charged with treason, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we know of African countries where thousands of citizens have been killed. We know of African countries where Kenyans are being harassed in their hotels, in their businesses, in those countries, because they are being suspected to be the ones who are responsible for the unrest. Africans should know that Kenyans are very hard-working people. When they go to their countries, they are looking for business. They are not going there to play politics. I would like, at least as far as Kenya is concerned, our government to protect Kenyan citizens in such a countries where they are currently being harassed, Mr. Speaker.
There is this notion across the continent of Africa that talking about the African Continental Free Trade Area or the free movement of people, a number of Africans are living in different countries across the region, even globally. However, when issues happen like what's happening in the country of Tanzania, for example, or in the Ivory Coast, you do not expect, some say that officials or Africans living out of those nations should not be making comment. I think that is absolutely wrong. The parliamentarian says, according to his own understanding, that you do have African nationals who are living in the cross-border, and then they have family members in some of those countries that we are seeing the emergence. In a case like Tanzania, you have a lot of Tanzanians living globally and in other countries. That for African officials to think that these nationals should not comment as a result of them having family members who are facing difficulties and, more importantly, are being subjugated as a result of the election malpractices, then for them not to talk, it is unacceptable. Let's play this clip.
Mr. Speaker, when I see the kind of business that African countries lose because of this instability, I say, how I wish the standing orders of Parliament of Kenya could be changed so that we could do substantive debate on this very, very serious issue, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, for some of us, our communities cut across nations. For example, if you take the Kenyan Somali, his relatives are in Somalia, his relatives are in Ethiopia. So when unrest takes place in those two countries, the Kenyan Somali is expected to keep quiet. Similarly, the Luos, the Maasais, they are in Kenya, they are in Tanzania. When their relatives face this kind of atrocities, we are supposed to keep quiet. Similarly, the Luyas and Tesos, our relatives are in Uganda. And when these things happen, we are supposed to keep quiet. Maybe we should change standing orders so that African parliaments can boldly debate the nonsense that is going on where the African Union has failed. I support.
According to the parliamentarian, if African leaders cannot tackle their own internal challenges and face things on as they are brewing, it will give the opportunity and the room for other foreign leaders to come and start lecturing the continent of Africa. Absolutely. We've talked about why Africans should debase from foreign partners and foreign powers. Again, if the continent of Africa cannot sit up on its security and members of parliament cannot hold their own government responsible to talk about the vital issues that are affecting the people of their nations, then the continent of Africa is not going anywhere. According to the parliamentarian, he spoke on a variety of issues, more importantly, talking about most recently that the United States of America, under Mr. Donald Trump, has questioned the country of Nigeria according to the current events we've been hearing happening in Nigeria. The parliamentarian basically trying to say that if African countries really want to avoid talk about sovereignty and protect their own borders and push alongside or push away foreign powers, then the countries across the region must take responsibility of their internal difficulties and try to solve their own problem to avoid this. Let's roll this clip.
Senator Maans.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, IPO is a very important organization in the world, and just as Senator Halwale had observed, it could be useful in advice and in guiding in many principles that members of parliaments all over Africa and many other parts of the world could advise governments, Mr. Speaker, or could influence politics, Mr. Speaker, in a certain way. Mr. Speaker, what has been happening in the world currently is very unique. The situation in the Sudan, Mr. Speaker, the violence in Tanzania, what we have seen in Nigeria, Mr. Speaker, Christians butchered in churches, yet it is reported that Muslims are killed more than Christians, and promptly the American government to want to intervene and bring, these groups which kill people, to an end. Mr. Speaker, IPU could help resolve these matters. I believe all these countries, their members of parliament attend IPU, and part of bringing peace into the world or giving suggestions and influencing politics of the world, Mr. Speaker, for the betterment of it, is that sharing and experiences and the best practices, Mr. Speaker, could improve the situation. I believe the best practices of politics could make the world better, because, Mr. Speaker, seems the world is led by politicians. Politicians influence what happens in many situations. I've seen the report of observers, and part of our members of parliament went to observe elections in Tanzania, Mr. Speaker. They have brought back very interesting scenarios whereby the citizens decided to attack properties belonging to politicians. They thought it causes strain in these particular countries. And Mr. Speaker, that's something to be learned by ourselves and by many parliaments of the world. When citizens decide to target certain people and to destroy their properties completely, former presidents, influential people in parliament, influential people of political parties, they target just that particular family, Mr. Speaker. It's a very sad situation, Mr. Speaker. In a situation whereby politics destabilize a country, Mr. Speaker, innocent people suffer, like the case in the Sudan now. You see families running away, families having lost their residence, families, divided, and the people lost. Mr. Speaker, I believe there are members of the Parliament of Sudan who probably come to IPU and could have shared experiences in different places of the world. And Mr. Speaker, we could reduce the suffering of the people through parliaments, Mr. Speaker, and through members of parliament when they share their experiences.
Like I said at the beginning, Africa is going through tremendous difficulties in a whole lot of other areas. The continent is expanding and growing, huge opportunity. But more importantly, we've looked at a number of generations that most old officials are hanging to power. And some countries are questioning if this is going to be the direction that the continent of Africa will move. We've seen what happened in Madagascar, how the youth rising. Something happened similar to the country of Kenya. We've looked at the issues in Cameroon, more importantly in Ivory Coast, and Tanzania of all, once considered the beacon of democracy, considering its previous transition when its former leader passed on. These are amazing times across the region. The parliamentarian, from his own perspective, looked at that and questioned the governments who failed to recognize that times have changed. These nationals, citizens, have their own individual aspirations and they want to move forward to transform their lives and the lives of their family. And for their governments to fail to recognize that, according to the parliamentarian, is unacceptable. Let's roll this clip.
Political parties and how politics are conducted, Mr. Speaker, is very interesting. Quite a number of our very good friends have lost their nominations in Uganda, and most of them were targeted, the ones in cabinet and are also in the House. And in the same political party, Mr. Speaker, they decide, we are not nominating you. It is time for you to go home. And these people move to independence and resist and want to go back to the people, while the people are telling them, please take a little bit of rest. We compare somebody else that maybe we'll have you in future. And I believe this experience, Mr. Speaker, while shared, each one of us will learn something from another member of parliament from another country. And every time there are international gatherings, members of parliament really share their experiences on politics, on development, and how generally a country gets affected when politicians or political parties take certain decisions. To the bringing in of a new constitution, Mr. Speaker, it had gotten to a level that the old constitution could no longer hold this nation together. And the politicians and members of parliament came together, took the best constitutions all over the world, looked for the best legal practices, and came up with a constitution, Mr. Speaker, which is largely accepted. And after elections now, people are able to move on. I wish also other nations can pick from the example of Kenya, the way Honorable Raila Odinga has behaved, the way he's able to move on after an election. I think many nations don't know how to move on after an election gone wrong. He was able to bring the country together, bring peace to a country.
Let me know in the comment section if you think this parliamentarian was spot on at this critical time in African history, as the global partners are observing this very closely, and the IPU should step up to the plate and take responsibility. The African Union, to an extent, to be an organization, according to the parliamentarian, that should not be congratulating its friends. It is important at this time. We are no longer in the 1980s. African officials and citizens, experts, global analysts, Africans in the diaspora, Africans within the continent are paying closer attention like never before seen. Like we've always said, if the Russian-Ukrainian war have not woken up the continent of Africa, if the pandemic has not woken up the continent of Africa, if the continent of Africa has not woken up to think that the African Growth and Opportunity Act is finished, that the continent must go inward and revive the African continental free trade area, then we don't know what we are doing at this stage. The parliamentarian was spot on in my own perspective. Leave me a comment and let me know what you think, if this parliamentarian's own message is clear and should grow across the board in the continent of Africa at this critical time in Africa's own history, where we are hearing the Sahelian countries talking about sovereignty, and we hear Nigerians stumbling, talking about a sovereignty, but it has an internal issue that needs to be dealt with. More importantly, African nations should revive their global perspective and, more importantly, strengthen their internal challenges. I will be looking forward to meeting you soon in our next episode. Smash the like button and have a good day. Bye-bye.
Tanzanian citizens are unfollowing Tanzanian musicians who supported President Samia Suluhu Hassan and who failed to support them during the protest. For example, Diamond Platnumz has lost 100,000 followers within the last 48 hours. His followers have gone from 18.8 million to 18.7 million. Kenyans are planning to boycott Tanzanian musicians because they failed to support and stand up for their fellow Tanzanians when Tanzanians needed them the most.
Even Kenyan promoters should boycott Tanzanian artists. We don't want to hear, oh, throwback bongo. We don't want. Innocent blood was spilled in the streets of Tanzania. Kenyans are being killed in Tanzania because they are claiming Kenyans are the one who started protest in Tanzania. So please, for the love of God, promoters. Hiyo jinganyo ya bongo flavor. Kila mtu akeuko na mabongo zake. It's so sad. You guys keep on promoting Tanzanian artists. Yet themselves, they don't care about their fellow. They don't care about the people who they live together with. So please, if Tanzanians can boycott their artists, Kenyan too can boycott Tanzanian artists.
And even after the protest had ended, Tanzanian artists did not address the entire situation. They chose to remain silent and to continue with their normal lives on social media until their fans put so much pressure on them. That's when they actually started addressing the entire situation.
I've been seeing a lot of Tanzanian artists coming out talking about my condolences. No, keep your fake condolences. You're the same people who sat there and laughed at Tanzanians, okay? We still remember. Keep your fake condolences. No one wants to hear it.
Kenyan gospel artist Daddy Owen has criticized Tanzanian musicians for remaining silent when their fellow Tanzanians were suffering during the protest and for only responding with a message from the government. According to Daddy Owen, these musicians were probably told what to say to the public by the government. Take a listen.
Pale IG, Facebook, social media, nimeanza kuona wasanii wa Tanzania wameanza kujitokeza moja kwa moja. Na wote wanakuja na same message. Na ukiangalia vizuri, even the time they posted is like the same time. So that can tell you that ni kitu wameambiwa, it's a narrative they're trying to push, na ni kitu wameambiwa wafanye. And it's not bad to preach peace. Nimeona message zao zote zinaongelea about peace. But imenikumbusha mbali sana. I've been here long enough to see so many things. Nakumbuka 2007 when post-election violence ilikuwa ina happen, most of us artists were called. Tukaambiwa kujeni nini wasanii. Hiyo time sikuwa big vile, but I remember my bro at that time he was really big. Na most of artists waliitwa, wengine walikubali, wengine walikataa. Going to my point is this, that every now and then something like that happens in this country. Tumekuwa tukiona every now and then wasanii, celebrities, DJs, influencers mnaitwa, mnaambiwa this is a narrative that you need to push out, but without asking the most important questions. And I think that's why last year in 2024 we saw so many celebrities joining the public ama wakijoin wananchi kuingia kwenye maandamano, because ilifika mahali wasanii walikuwa shaanza kujua most of the time si hutumiwa. By the time all these things are happening, no one needs you. But by the time kuna any turmoil, kuna clashes, kuna violence, kuna all these things that are happening, wasanii huitwa. And the main reason why mnaitwa kama wasanii, mnaitwa kama influencers, kama all these other people, mbona mnaitwa, is because someone is willing, anataka kufunikia all the injustices, the atrocities zenye zilikuwa zikifanyika. Ile damu ilimwagika, mtu anataka tuongee about amani ama tuongee about peace without addressing the issue of justice. And that's what's happening in Tanzania right now. I think the artists have been told, the influencers have been told, let's talk about peace and not mention justice. Because if you don't demand it, na siwadanganye, learning from experience, mnafunikia tu. One day, this volcano will erupt again. You have to start asking questions. Na kama wewe ni msanii, wewe ni influencer, you're in a very good position to ask these questions. That's why here in Kenya, most artists, most influencers, guys ask questions. And mimi sikuwa scared of asking questions. As much as politicians are my friend, I have friends who are in the politics, I have friends who are in the influential, I still ask questions. And sometimes most of them wananiingilianga wanasema, I still ask questions because it's important. If we don't ask these questions, then there's no democracy. Wakati ndio huu. Wasanii wote nimeona wa Tanzania, our influencers, don't just be given a template and then unaenda post kwa social media yako without asking the hard questions. It's your time to be counted. It's your time to stand for East Africa, for all these atrocities and injustices zimekuwa zikiendelea ziishe. This is our time. Msanii ni kioo cha jamii.
And even when Tanzanians were protesting and they were experiencing an internet shutdown, it was Kenyans that amplified their message internationally. They talked about it on all their social media platforms, and they also championed for the rights of their Tanzanian brothers and sisters. And even up to now, as Kenyans, we are standing in solidarity with Tanzanians, and we send our condolences to all the Tanzanians who are unfortunately brutally unalived by police officers during the protest. Our prayers are with you. Content creators in Kenya are reporting that they are receiving threats from Tanzanian authorities not to share the pictures and videos of what happened in Tanzania with the entire world. But content creators in Kenya have said that they are going to continue sharing those pictures and videos with the entire world to create awareness and to also fight for justice for Tanzanians, and they're going to do so without any fear.
Yo ni aje wa Kenya. Messi ule mse uchukua vitisho rahisi. Na huo sipuuzi vitisho pia, by the way, but at the same time I just want to let you know that this is the first time I'm being threatened internationally. Now at TZ, we Kasim, sijui you call yourself Kasim, niko na majina zenyu nyewe wote nimechukua ma screenshot nimeweka just in case. So hawa say wananitishia kwa sababu nilipost zile video za wale watu wamekufa, watu wamechinjwa na mapolisi, ma DCI wa Tanzania wanawajaza kwa malori. Sasa nilifanya hii video usiku, I think it was 9 usiku. How many hours ago? It's about 4 hours ago. Iko hii hapa. The title is Tanzanians are being killed in their homes, bodies piled. And it is true, walikuwa wanapigwa kwa manyumba zao na marisasi. Okay? Wengine wameuawa hata kama wamekaa kwa kiti, wamekufa kwa milango. So mimi kusema hivyo, hii video 4 hours ago already iko 852,000. I did put the long version of it on my YouTube exposinga. Sasa tujinga tunakuja kunitishia hapa, ati ukaendelea kuzungumzia hivyo vitu wewe, tutakutoa huko Kenya. Anyway, so that is the reason, but also nikauliza wase, mbona mnatuambia tusipost hizi vitu? That is what we do. That is what we do. Nyinyi mmeua watu wamechukua videos wametupatia, tunapost. Tunafaa kufanya nini nazo? Tukae tukilia? Then akaendelea kunituza, akaniambia ni prove, nikamplaya one of their military personnel ndiye alituma hii audio na akaomba tusiweke nini.
Kwa saizi kuna
akasema
kama hiyo utaiweka, unaweza kaangalia namna kuibadili kama iweke ni maandishi, lakini kwamba kwa Tunduma kwa saizi kuna kazi leo sasa kuna bei kali kesho, lakini bado kuna kama kuna vuguvugu kwamba tunatoa mpaka tahadhari vijana kwamba kesho tuandae vyakula, kesho Jumapili tuandae mazingira kwa ajili ya kuanzia Jumatatu wanakiwasha, na amesema kwamba sababu kubwa ya kwanza ni kwamba ni hii kipindi ambacho kinapigwa kila siku, lakini ya pili ni kwamba wameua watu wengi sana, alafu kienda mochari maiti hazipo. Tetesi ni kwamba kuna mmoja anasema kwamba waliona kama zimebebwa kwenye tenta, sijui zinapelekwa wapi, sasa hatujui.
Sawa. Content ni zile lori ndogo ndogo, mwili zinajazwa kwa zinachukuliwa zipelekwe kwa mochari. Then kitu kingine hapa nasema kwamba leo ndio Jumatatu ni Monday leo ndio wanaingia kuua watu usiku. So Watanzania mnafaa kujua mnaenda kuuawa. Hawa ndio wanapikia wale watu wanakuja kuwaua. Mnafaa kujua hivyo. Kwa military pia kuna kwa wapishi, kazi yao ni kupika. Wako na bunduki lakini kupika. Kuna polisi huko, kuna hizo makantini pia zina service, kuna watu wameandikwa kupika. Wameambiwa jiathari wapike chakula on Sunday, Monday watu wako kazi ya kuua watu. Ndio maana Suluhu Samia amefanywa nini? Amehapishwa kusijui kwa military grounds. Alafu AU without shame, after even seeing this death being hidden, wanafunga internet ati ndio isionekane, bado tuko na videos, mnakuja kunithreaten. Kwani Watanzania wengine mmejaa aje? Mnaua your own people, you are piling your own people in lorries to go and throw them in the sea, and then nakuja kutusomea sisi wa Kenya. Nyie mtujui. Hiyo tizi tunaweza kuja, by the way, si eti tunaweza kuja. Shame. Mnaua watu mnakuja kutusomea hapa. Hey, koma. Wewe koma, huyo Suluhu wako na masuluhisho zenyu za ujinga. Mnaua watu alafu mnatutishia hapa. Kwendeni huko. Umeona Mkenya akiua mtu huko?
Kill this lady because of that. I tell you, the whole of Africa is going to erupt. The whole of African youths are going to come out, and Tanzania will face a backlash. There is also claims of mistreatment of detainees, cost statements, and lack of due process. In Nifa's case, her lawyer claimed she was beaten and forced to sign a statement at a police station. The police officers are supposed to be the one protecting the people, not the one beating people. In fact, during demonstrations, police officers should come out and protect the people to have a very peaceful demonstrations, not them killing protesters. Now, these are people who have been arrested. There are claims that there is mistreatment of detainees, cost statements, and lack of due process. And Nifa's case, her lawyer claimed she was beaten and forced to sign a statement at a police station. Why do you beat a lady? Why should you beat a woman who didn't commit a single mistake? Because your boss has told you to do so. You have children, you are a mother maybe, you are a father maybe, you're an uncle and auntie, and then you can go ahead and do such kind of a thing to someone's daughter, to someone's child. Even if you've taken an oath, the question is, would you feel happy or good if the same thing happens to you? And that is the question that I'm asking. Everybody out there, every person who is watching this video and he's doing something that is unacceptable to the people of Africa or to the children of your country, ask yourself, are you doing right? Before you do anything of that sort or of that manner, ask yourself, am I doing right? Now the question is it right? Is it right? Charging people with treason, is it right? Now, let's forget about committing a serious mistake or committing a mistake that is not serious. Now, let's talk about committing a serious offense. Is it right for us to have in Africa or for us to have in the world of today people being charged with treason? We are all human beings. Even if it is trying to overthrow the government, does trying to overthrow the government amounts to treason charges? Even in the Holy Book, there is no anywhere or any place that you have been instructed to take a life of any single person. Even in the Holy Book, no human being should take the life of any other human being. Nobody should. Not even the government. Not even anything. If people say it is God who gives leadership, and if people say that people have been chosen by God, people claim to be believing in God and all that, where do you get the nerves? Where do you get the authority to set a rule that allows anybody, whoever in that country of yours, to charge other people with treason? Because treason is simply killing or hanging a prisoner. That is treason. Is it right? That is the question of the day. Is it right? Not only in Tanzania, but every other country in Africa and in the world, is it right to have treason charges? Is it right to charge someone with treason? It doesn't matter which kind of mistakes that he has been able to do. I've come across even people who kill other people. They are taken to court, but they have never been charged with treason. If at all people are supposed to be charged with treason, then people who kill others should be charged with treason because they have taken a life. That is the only serious offense that I know, taking someone else's life. That is the only serious offense that I can relate it with being charged with treason. And therefore, if at all killing someone is a serious offense that needs to be charged with treason, then Samia Suluhu Hassan should be in court today being charged with treason because she has killed many, many, many people. The question is, I want you to tell me out there, wherever you are, is it right to charge people with treason? Now, this depends on what one considers. Legally, ethically, and in terms of due process. Legally, ethically, and in terms of due process. From a legal, technical standpoint, if the allegations are true that she planned and actively mobilized to obstruct the elections and aimed at overthrowing the government, then under Tanzanian's law, listen, under Tanzanian's law, she could indeed meet the threshold for treason charges. That is what the article says. In Tanzania, under Tanzanian's law, she should be charged with treason. And my question is, should we have any law in Africa or in the days of today or in today's existence that amounts to be charging people with treason? Should we have that kind of a law? The law seems to allow non-bail for treason, so her remand is in line with that. The prosecution has alleged specific acts: mobilizing youth, buying protest equipments, destruction of property. So she destructed also property. Nifa, alone, at 26 years old, she also destructed properties. She was in destruction of properties. That connects to the treason conspiracy charge. So in Tanzania, if you mobilize youth to protest, to fight for their rights, to stand for their rights, if you buy protest equipment, and if you destruct property, your charges are treason if you're taken to court, being hanged live in broad daylight. Now, let's read and have a report from the human rights standpoint. Fairness stroke human rights standpoint. This is what they say. There are serious concerns. Mass use of treason charges, potential suppression of decent limited transparency on how investigations were done, reports of torture and forced confessions and the fact that the elections itself has been criticized by international monitors. Number 2, the huge scale of treason charges hundreds of people over protests raise questions about proportionally and whether all such charges are justified. Give the context of political tension, the use of treason, a very serious charge, may be seen as a disproportionately heavy for actions like protests organization, especially if those protests are peaceful or political motivated. Now, I'm trying to connect and to find something serious that Jennifer did so that she can be able to be charged with treason, but I can't be able to find one. I'm trying to just to collect everything, just to bring everything together to see why Nifa was charged with treason, but I cannot find one. I don't know how. I don't know why. I don't know if it was necessary for her to be charged with treason. I don't know if it was okay. But what I feel deep down, it was not okay, and it's not okay. And the government of Tanzania, one day under Suluhu Hassan, will regret ever doing something that they are doing. Charging over 300 people for treason, for the mistakes they did not do. The government has been killing people, shooting them down. That mistake does not amount to treason, but Nifa can be charged with treason. It is so sad. It is very bad. It is something that I don't understand. I don't believe. I can't believe my eyes. You know, legally, Tanzanians authority may argue they are acting with their laws. But these are strong doubts about whether charges against Nifa and many others are being applied fairly. I don't think if they're being applied fairly. I don't think if they're being applied justly. I don't think if they're being applied fairly. I don't think. It must be in just political neutral manner. But anyway, it's okay. Yes, the government has legal basis to charge her, and is doing so right now under Tanzanian treason and election obstruction statutes. No, it's unclear that the process is fair or that the charges are appropriate in the broader context of political rights, especially given the scale and surrounding conditions. I don't know. I don't get it, but it's okay. Now, we need to find a way of changing everything that is happening. We need to find a way of going around and changing everything that is happening. And for future purposes, Tanzanians must not stop fighting until this constitution that does not make sense come to an end. Tanzanians in future, for you to be safe, you must not stop fighting. We know that freedom doesn't come easily. And these are just some of the things we have to pay for us to find freedom. Kenya got their new constitution in the year 2010. A constitution that costs the blood of many people. But God stood by everybody. Today, if we have to remain in peace, if we have to be peaceful, then we must be able to stand up and fight. Because if we don't fight, we're going to remain slaves for as long as time as possible. I'm very much sad. I'm very much upset. I don't know. After seeing that video, I couldn't believe. But it's okay. Tell me what you think in the comment section. I'll do my best to make sure I read all the comments and give a response where possible. I am Atamba Haiti. This is African Streamline's Roundtable from African Streamline. Until next episode, peace be with you.
Ile kwamba labda angetaka tu kuadita labda hii sio kwamba alitaka kuadita, hii alitaka kuwaua, alitaka kusend message. Hatuwezi kukubali. Kina Nyerere wangekubali bora tumwache tu huyu mkoloni. Leo tungekuwa wapi? Hatuwezi kukubali. Watoto wetu, wajukuu zetu hawezi kuja kukuta nchi hii. I'm trying to be strong. I'm trying. Kuna siku nitaongea na nyinyi. Nitaongea na nyinyi baada ya ukombozi, sababu ukombozi unakuja. Trust me, niliwaambia before na ninawaambia tena, hakuna urais wa Samia. Haupo. Sio baada ya kuua Watanganyika kwa kiasi hiki. Ndugu zangu, Samia kaua mpaka sasa hivi. Mimi dada yenu wa taifa, mnanijua, sinaga fake news, sinaga ku create uongo ili sijui nidimize nani, na mnanijua. Hata kipindi nafanya umbea mnanijua, nilikuwa nikiandika habari alafu nikipata habari ya ukweli narudi na waambieni guys, hii habari kuna correction, kwa sababu mimi sijawahi kutaka kuambieni uongo. Na hii ndio maana leo na influence kwa Tanzania, ni kwa sababu huwa nahakikisha nawapa habari ya ukweli, sio habari na utaka mimi kuitengeneza mimi, ya ukweli. Na ndio maana kipindi chote cha kampeni za CCM walishindwa. Niliwaambia before na ninawaambia tena, hakuna urais wa Samia. Haupo. Sio baada ya kuua Watanganyika kwa kiasi hiki. Ndugu zangu, Samia kaua mpaka sasa hivi. Mimi dada yenu wa taifa, mnanijua, sinaga fake news, sinaga ku create uongo ili sijui nidimize nani, na mnanijua. Hata kipindi nafanya umbea mnanijua, nilikuwa nikiandika habari alafu nikipata habari ya ukweli narudi na waambieni guys, hii habari kuna correction, kwa sababu mimi sijawahi kutaka kuambieni uongo. Na hii ndio maana leo na influence kwa Tanzania, ni kwa sababu huwa nahakikisha nawapa habari ya ukweli, sio habari na utaka mimi kuitengeneza mimi, ya ukweli. Na ndio maana kipindi chote cha kampeni za CCM walishindwa kupambana na habari zangu, kwa sababu nilikuwa nazileta kwa facts. Na nilihakikisha kipindi cha kampeni kila habari nayoileta nimejidhatiti kwamba hawawezi kuirefute. Na leo nawaambieni wa Tanzania, nawaambieni leo, mimi mwenyewe najiona kama underestimate, kwamba sijatoa kiasi kikubwa kinachotoka kutolewa. Nawaambieni mimi dada yenu wa taifa, Samia kaua zaidi ya Watanzania 10,000. Gen Z zaidi ya 10,000 kaua Samia. Hii nawaambieni dada yenu, kuna siku mtaiprove. Siku Samia akitoka nje ya madaraka, pale familia zitakapoweza kutoka public na kusema majina na kusema watu waliopotea, watu wakiweza kutoka, mtaona dada yenu nilikuwa naambia kweli, Samia kaua zaidi ya Gen Z 10,000. Kule Tunduma na Mbeya ndo kaua wengi. Tunduma ndo wameuliwa wengi. Tunduma na Mbeya. alikuwa anaingiza askari nyumba kwa nyumba, wanasaka watoto wa kiume, wanawapiga risasi. Huyu sio rais, ndugu yangu. Huyu sio rais, ndugu zetu. Samia sio rais. Huyu ni adui wa Tanzania. Na kwenye katiba ijayo tutakayoipata, tunaipata katiba mpya. Katiba ijayo tunayoipata lazima iweke kwamba akifa rais madarakani ni miezi 6 tu. Lazima uchaguzi urudiwe ndani ya miezi 6. Na kwenye hiyo miezi 6 huyo vice president aliochukua urais haruhusiwi kufanya appointments zozote, ili asifanye ushenzi aliofanya Samia. Nao nilikuwa simwamini Polepole alivyosema Magufuli kauliwa. Na sikumwamini kwa sababu Polepole nilikuwa nimemchukia sana kipindi cha Magufuli. Na nilimchukia. Watanzania mpaka leo mnielewi why nilichukia kipindi cha Magufuli. Nilichukia kipindi cha Magufuli sababu nilijua atakayefuata baada ya Magufuli naye atajaribu kuwa dikteta. Sasa hivi tumepata dikteta ambaye anawachukia Watanganyika. Yeah? No matter what. Naomba Gen Z nchi nzima, wa mama, wa baba mlozika watoto, ndugu jamaa na marafiki mliozika watu, msikubali kutii. Msikubali kutii, kwa sababu mkisha kubali kutii, mjue na watoto wenu watakuta. Hayo hatukubali kutii. Lazima Tanganyika iwe huru. Na ndugu zangu, msinione kimya, siposti huko, napambana. Na sio mimi tu napambana. Wengi wanapambana zaidi hata mimi. Wengi ni vile hawana majina. Kila mtu anapambana. Hii issue haina kiongozi, haina mtu anayefanya the most, haina star, haina. Mimi msinichukulie kama mimi ndo nilie fanya chochote au mabadiliko, msinichukulie. Mimi niko hapa kwa sababu wa Tanzania mko nyuma yangu. Mimi niko hapa naonekana napambania Tanzania kwa sababu nyinyi mna support ninachosema. Bila nyinyi mimi I'm nothing. Ndio maana siwaelewagi wasanii wenu. Bila nyinyi wale ni nani? Ni nani wale? Leo mnapigwa risasi, mnakufa. Wale wasanii wenu wanapost video nyimbo zao kama kawaida. Wanatoa tu matamko ya kipumbavu. Kama nimewakwaza samahani. Kama umewakwaza samahani. Watu wamezika, ndugu marafiki. Can you imagine kama Alikiba, Diamond Platinum wangesimama miezi iliyopita wakasema Watanzania tupambane, tunaonewa. Watanzania tupambane, huu uchaguzi sio. Kwa nini huyu anafunga watu wengine wasipambanie uraisi? Kwa nini agombe kina Diamond? Imagine kina Diamond, kina Zuchu, kina Alikiba, kina Harmonize, kina Mario, kina Nandi, kina Bilnas, kina wapumbavu wengine wote wale walamata, si wale wasanii wa malamata. Imagine wale wote wangesimama, wangesema Tanzania tusikubali utekaji wa Tanzania. No matter what. Naomba Gen Z nchi nzima, wa mama, wa baba mlozika watoto, ndugu jamaa na marafiki mliozika watu, msikubali kutii. Msikubali kutii, kwa sababu mkisha kubali kutii, mjue na watoto wenu watakuta. hayo, hatukubali kutii. Lazima Tanganyika iwe huru. Na ndugu zangu, msinione kimya, siposti huko, napambana. Na sio mimi tu napambana. Wengi wanapambana zaidi hata mimi. Wengi ni vile hawana majina. Kila mtu anapambana. Hii issue haina kiongozi, haina mtu anayefanya the most, haina star, haina. Mimi msinichukulie kama mimi ndo nilie fanya chochote au mabadiliko, msinichukulie. Mimi niko hapa kwa sababu wa Tanzania mko nyuma yangu. Mimi niko hapa naonekana napambania Tanzania kwa sababu nyinyi mna support ninachosema. Bila nyinyi mimi I'm nothing. Ndio maana siwaelewagi wasanii wenu. Bila nyinyi wale ni nani? Ni nani wale? Leo mnapigwa risasi mnakufa, wale wasanii wenu wanapost video nyimbo zao kama kawaida. Wanatoa tu matamko ya kipumbavu. Kama nimewakwaza samahani. Kama umewakwaza samahani. Watu wamezika, ndugu, marafiki. Can you imagine kama Alikiba, Diamond Platinum wangesimama miezi iliyopita wakasema Watanzania tupambane, tunaonewa. Watanzania tupambane, huu uchaguzi sio. Kwa nini huyu anafunga watu wengine wasipambanie uraisi? Kwa nini wagombe kina Diamond? Imagine kina Diamond, kina Zuchu, kina Alikiba, kina Harmonize, kina Mario, kina Nandi, kina Bilnas, kina wapumbavu wengine wote wale walamata, wale wasanii wa malamata. Imagine wale wote wangesimama, wangesema Tanzania tusikubali.
Gen Z mko sahihi. Sasa ni video ambayo imefanywa na mwanadada ambaye anajulikana kama Mange Kimambi, na ni tamko la Mange. Ameweka kile ambacho tunachokita caption kwenye video hii ya takriban dakika 14 na sekunde kadhaa. Sasa kwenye video hii Mange Kimambi ameongea kwa machungu zaidi. Anaongea kuhusu vitu ambavyo vimekuwa vikifanyika nchini Tanzania kabla na vile wakati wa uchaguzi na baada ya uchaguzi. Mange Kimambi anasema kuwa Watanzania wameumia na wameteseka vibaya zaidi. Sasa yeye anasema kuwa aliwapumzisha wazazi wake, mama na baba mzazi, na ile hali ya Watanzania kuumizwa imemuingia vibaya zaidi. Wengi huwa anafanya simulizi za video za mwanadada huyu mpambanaji muite Mange Kimambi, lakini hakuna video ambayo imeteka hisia zangu kama video imefanywa na Mange Kimambi. Hii video anaongelelea vitu vingi ambavyo vimefanyika nchini Tanzania. Ikumbukwe wakati wa uchaguzi na baada ya uchaguzi kulikuwa na maandamano nchini Tanzania, na ni maandamano ambayo ilipelekea vurugu mechi, wananchi kupigwa risasi, wengine kuumizwa na watu ambao wanaaminika ni maafisa wa jeshi la polisi. Sasa Mange anawaambia vijana wa majenzisi ya kuwa anajua kila kitu wanaopanga hawa majenzisi na wasirudi nyuma, kwa maana hii ni vita ambayo bado inaendelea, haijaisha. Sasa anasema kuwa Rais Samia Suluhu Hassan amewaua Watanganyika bila kujali. Amewaua Watanganyika ambao walikuwa wanapatikana maeneo ya Tunduma, Mbeya na sehemu zinginezo nchini Tanzania. Sasa hapa Mange anasema kuwa wale Watanzania ambao wameuawa ni zaidi ya 10,000. Na pale ambapo Mama Samia Suluhu Hassan siku moja atatoka madarakani, ndio watu watapata kujua hali halisi ama habari ambazo zinaendana na kile ambacho kilifanyika Oktoba tarehe 29 mwaka wa 2025. Wakati wa uchaguzi kulikuwa na maandamano ndio, na ni vijana ambao walikuwa wanadai haki zao, lakini sasa jeshi la polisi na watu ambao wanaaminika ni wanajeshi kutoka nchi jirani ya Uganda waliwashukia kuwashughulikia vijana hawa. Wengine waliuawa, wengine waliumizwa, wengine pia wakatekwa. Na Mange anasema kuwa jeshi la polisi lilikuwa linaingia katika makazi na kuwatafuta vijana, kuwatia mbaroni, kuwapiga risasi na vile kuwaumiza wale ambao waliwapata katika sehemu husika. Video ambayo ina hisia kubwa zaidi. Mange Kimambi ameongea kwa hisia za ndani zaidi kuhusiana na machafuko ambayo yalifanyika nchini Tanzania. Ikikumbukwa huyu ni mwanadada mpambanaji ambaye huwa analeta hamasa kubwa zaidi na following yake pia ni kubwa zaidi kwenye mitandao ya kijamii. Yani watu wanamsikiza. Ikumbukwe juzi kumekuwa na stories ya kuwa mwanasheria kutoka nchini Tanzania ambaye anajulikana kama Hamza Johari alitoa taarifa, anasema kuwa ima ni lazima wamkamate Mange Kimambi. Wataweka miadi na serikali ya Marekani ndio hakikisha kuwa Mange Kimambi amekabidhiwa serikali ya Tanzania. Lakini ukiangalia kwa undani unapata kama huyu ni mwanadada ambaye yuko kule Marekani ndio, na ni kama ameshapata uraia wa Marekani. Sasa ile hali ya yeye kuchukuliwa kupelekwa Tanzania kuwajibishwa kisheria itakuwa ni mtihani kwa serikali ya Mama Samia Suluhu Hassan. Nimekuwekea video hii na angalau upate kujua hali halisi kile ambacho alichokuwa kikisema Mange Kimambi kuhusiana na uchafuzi ama machafuko ambayo yameshuhudiwa nchini Tanzania, watu kuuawa, kuumizwa na watu ambao wanaaminika ni maafisa wa jeshi la polisi kabla, wakati wa na baada ya uchaguzi nchini Tanzania. Kwa hiyo usisahau kusubscribe, like na vile kushare. Lakini kuna wale ambao wamedondosha comment zao kwenye video hii ya Mange Kimambi. Kuna huyu ambaye anajulikana kama Nuruvazi, ameweka emoji kadhaa za makopa ambazo zimepasuka na vile akaweka fire. Alafu mwingine anajulikana kama Lilo Bag anasema I'm sorry, I don't understand but I do pray for Tanzania and the people who are struggling, fighting and hoping for better future, for all those who have lost their lives in this horrendous massacre. May your soul rest in peace and may deepest condolences to all those who have lost their loved ones. May the angel guard over the motherless children. I hope somebody will care for them. Tanzania, please don't lose hope. Alafu ZK_digital anasema dada wa taifa, kanyosha mikono juu. Irene Loli anaweka pale emoji za mtu ambaye ameangua kilio na emoji kadhaa za makopa ambazo zimepasuka. Sahaba ameandika chuki ya Wazanzibari kwa Watanganyika haifichiki. Alafu CS my girl anasema mioyo inavuja damu, walahi nikiamka nalia, nikilala nalia. Alafu akaweka emoji za mtu ambaye anaangua kilio. Rehema Mwaka Mogile ameweka emoji kadhaa za makopa ambazo zimepasuka. Alafu huyu anajulikana kama Chosen_off anasema mio imejaa chuki na visasi vya ndugu zetu, na tukisema kidogo wanatuita wahaini. Alafu mwingine anajulikana kama Happy Captain Tesha anasema hivi, twendeni mbele turudi nyuma, kati ya waliouawa kuna hata Zanzibari mmoja, kama hakuna basi Tanganyika tujitafakari sana. Alafu huyu mwingine anajulikana kama Man from Shewa anasema irudiwe, tutakuwepo. Sasa ni baadhi ya comments ambazo zinadondoshwa kwenye timeline ya mwanadada mpambanaji mwite Mange Kimambi baada ya kufanya video moja ya takriban dakika 14 na ameongelelea issues tofauti, yani ile hali ya Watanzania kufanyiwa ukatili wa hali ya juu, na vile nimeona mahala fulani hapo pia amewataja baadhi ya wasanii ambao waliamua kujitia hamnazo na kusapoti serikali ya Mama Samia Suluhu Hassan, lakini sasa hii ndio wanajitokeza wakisema pole kwa Watanzania. Nimeona kama amemtaja msanii ambaye anajulikana kama Diamond Platnumz, amemtaja Mario, akamtaja Alikiba, akamtaja Harmonize na Billnass. Sasa hawa ni baadhi ya wasanii ambao walikuwa na sapoti serikali ya Mama Samia Suluhu Hassan, na vile walikuwa wanaonekana katika kampeni za CCM maeneo tofauti. Sasa Mange anasema huu ni unafiki wa hali ya juu, na hawa wasanii ilifaa hapo mwanzoni ndio wajieleze, wajitokeze, waseme vitu ambavyo vinawakwaza katika serikali ya Mama Samia Suluhu Hassan. Kwa hiyo usisahau kusubscribe, like na vile kushare. Ukiwa kule magetoni, vijiweni na mitaani, usisahau kuwajuza wana kuhusiana na channel hii ambayo inakuwa kasi zaidi. Ite Swahili TV. Shukrani jidan, marhab habib, tunawapenda zaidi.
Fanya ushenzi aliofanya Samia. Now Nilikuwa simwamini Polepole alivyosema Magufuli kauliwa, na sikumwamini kwa sababu Polepole nilikuwa nimemchukia sana kipindi cha Magufuli, na nilimchukia. Watanzania mpaka leo mnielewi why nilichukia kipindi cha Magufuli. Nilichukia kipindi cha Magufuli sababu nilijua atakayefuata baada ya Magufuli naye atajaribu kuwa dikteta. Sasa hivi tumepata dikteta ambaye anawachukia Watanganyika. Yeah? No matter what. Naomba Gen Z nchi nzima, wa mama, wa baba mlozika watoto, ndugu jamaa na marafiki mliozika watu, msikubali kutii. Msikubali kutii, kwa sababu mkisha kubali kutii, mjue na watoto wenu watakuta hayo. Hatukubali kutii. Lazima Tanganyika iwe huru. Na ndugu zangu, msinione kimya, siposti huko, napambana.
Now, let's address this. It is very important. And this is what is killing Tanzanians. There is one thing that is killing Tanzanians. Only one thing. And we have to talk about it. In Tanzania, the president, the constitution is written, you know. They don't have a constitution that governs them, or a constitution that protects them, or that defends them. So in Tanzania, there is a constitution, and what is written in the constitution is written by the pencil. It is written in pencil, not in a felt pen or something. It is written in pencil, not in a biro pen. And the president has the rubber, you know. So everything that is written in the constitution, written in a pencil, and the president has the rubber right in her hands. So she can decide to wake up one morning and rub one article and replace it with another article. She can wake up one morning and rub 5 articles and replace them with another 5 articles without even taking it through the parliament, without anything. The president makes decisions. So the member of parliaments in Tanzania do not represent the people. Now, let's take for example, in Kenya, we have the member of county assemblies. We have the governor. That one makes a county government. A county government, the people who represents the members of the public to the county government are the members of the county assembly. You know, so the members of the county assembly, they have the rights to impeach the president. They have the rights, like they have the rights to impeach the governor. I mean, they have the rights to call the governor, sit the governor down, talk to the governor, and tell the governor what you're doing here and here is not right, and therefore you need to make a change. Okay? Then we have the member of parliaments. So the member of parliaments, these now have the power and they represent the people on the National Assembly, on the national government. So we have the county government where the member of county assemblies represent the people on the county government. Then we have the national government where the member of county assemblies, which are the MPs, represents they represent the people on the national government. Now, in Kenya, I'm using Kenya as an example because I understand the constitution of Kenya and how it is made and how it works. Okay? Now, for example, if the president wants to come with any bill, or maybe a finance bill, the budget, you know, and any other law or any other thing, he wants to make it a law. What he does, if it's the county government, they have to take the bill to the county assembly, where the MCAs, the member of the county assemblies, will discuss over this bill. If majority of the members pass it, it becomes a law. If minority of the members pass it, it goes down. Now, in the National Assembly, where now the president is the head, because in the county government, the governor is the president of the county government. The president is the president of the national government. So whenever the president comes with a budget or a finance bill or any other thing, any other bill, he wants to make it a law, what he does, he takes this bill to the parliament. After taking this bill to the parliament, now the member of parliament, they have to discuss over this law or over this bill that has been brought to them, because before it becomes a law, before any bill becomes a law in Kenya, it must be discussed. It must be discussed by the people. People have to agree that this one should be a law before it becomes a law. And because everybody, all the people will not be sat down and discuss over a single bill, it will take a lot of time. That's why you have the representatives. These representatives are the member of parliament. They represent the people on the national government and on the National Assembly. So when a bill is brought to the parliament, it is like a bill has been brought back to the people for the people to discuss it. And then if people say yes to it, it becomes a law. So the member of parliaments, they are given a bill, they discuss over this bill. If the majority of the member of parliament says yes to the bill becomes a law. If the minority says yes to the bill is turned down. And therefore, the president in Kenya, the constitution does not give the president in Kenya power, authority, or mandate to decide anything into a law or to make any bill, turn it into a law without passing it to the parliament. It must go through the parliament. It must be examined through the parliament before this bill becomes a law. And that is why it is very difficult for anything to be abolished or anything to be created or to be brought into action in Kenya without the public participation. There must be a public participation in Kenya where people are asked to say their views over something. When the constitution wanted to be changed in Kenya, people were engaged. And when people were engaged, a lot of people were into a new constitution, the constitution that is protecting Kenyans today. That is why you will see Kenyans going on the road, demonstrating. Although sometimes the government will try to push them until some other people die. But Kenyans, you will see them demonstrating and they will go to the parliaments, because the constitution in Kenya suggests that the parliament are houses to the people. People have power to the parliaments. Parliaments is the house of the people. All the parliament houses are houses to the people. That is why these parliaments, the people who sit in parliaments are the representatives of the people. People's representatives, which are the member of parliaments and the senates, because also senators are member of parliaments. Okay? That is why sometimes you have senators who are oversighting over the county government. They are oversighting over the governors, and over how they are doing work, how they are managing funds and all that. So it is difficult in Kenya for a president or any other person or a governor in the county assembly to come up with a law, with a bill and make it a law without going through either the county assembly or going through the National Assembly for the governor and for the president respectively. And that one gives the people of Kenya strength in that they know if they say no to something, it is a no, and the government should not try to pass it by force. If Kenyans today, they wake up and say that we want to have something, the government needs to do that because the constitution grants them the opportunity and the power for them to be able to correct the government, and the government needs to listen according to Kenyan constitution. So a law cannot be made. In Kenya, according to the Kenyan constitution, the president is the less powerful person and the people are the most powerful people. In that, the people can decide to impeach the president anytime, any day. They can wake up today and say, we are tired with your leadership and therefore we want you to go home. And they can launch the collect signatures, and when signatures reach a certain amount of a certain number, they can be able to impeach the president through the National Assembly. They can be able to impeach the deputy president through the National Assembly. The vice president of Kenya was impeached through the National Assembly and through the Senate for the allegations that he was tribalist and all that. I don't want to talk about that, but he was impeached by the member of county assemblies and by the member of the Senate, and also the president can also get impeached if a bill is tabled and a lot of the member of parliament say that the president did a mistake. He can be impeached. Now, what is the difference between the constitution of Kenya and the constitution of Tanzania? In Tanzania, unlike Kenya, where the president should be the less powerful person, in Tanzania, the president is the most powerful person. If the president wakes up one morning and say, everybody should be walking naked from today, it is a law. There should be a mass of discussion. There should be no taking the bill to the parliament for discussion. If the president says every person from tomorrow morning should be walking naked or walking wearing their trousers on their heads, that is how it will be. And it is written in the constitution immediately. The president can wake up one morning and say, I close or I ban down all the political parties and I declare only one political party in this country, and that is how it will be. The president can wake up one morning and say, the term limits of a president will be 40 years, and that is how it will be, because the president in Tanzania got more power compared to the people. The president can wake up one morning and abolish, like rab, a law and replace with another law. And that is what will be. So in Tanzania, the president has the constitution. The constitution in Tanzania is written in pencils, and the president has the rubber. She can rub an article in a constitution or a law in a constitution and replace it with another law, and nobody has to say anything or nobody has to interfere with that. And that is what has really destroyed Tanzanians. Now, Tanzanians have been known to be peaceful people. Why? Because the legacy of Julius Nyerere was once, and he was such a very amazing president. Nyerere loved the people of Tanzania. And the people of Tanzania felt safe under Nyerere for a very long time. Now, what happened to the people of Tanzania? Julius Nyerere gave them a soft life, a good life, a peaceful life. He was a person who listened to the people, who did everything the people wanted him to do. To an extent, Tanzanians never knew chaos. Tanzanians never knew war. Tanzanians only knew peace. And Tanzanians sat at a position, at a point where only peace was what they knew. They didn't know anything else rather than peace. Julius Nyerere made them to feel like fighting is something that doesn't exist. Political differences is something that doesn't exist. And therefore, even after Nyerere and after the coming of other leaders, Tanzanians used to know we are still living under peace, because the system that Nyerere left them in is a system of peace, a system of love, a system of caring for one another, a system of calmness. And that is how they have been living for a very long time. Tanzanians were being manipulated, but they did not know they were being manipulated after Nyerere's leadership. The following leaders who came, they started manipulating Tanzanians because they knew Tanzanians are calm people. Tanzanians cannot talk back. Tanzanians cannot fight back, and that is how Tanzanians have been manipulated for years. The wealth of Tanzania has been sold out. The resources of Tanzania has been sold out. The minerals of Tanzania, they have been sold out. Everything they mine have been sold out. The public funds have been stolen. The leaders have been grabbing lands in Tanzania. Corruption has been going on in Tanzania. But Tanzanians have not been talking. They have not been saying anything, because while all these things were happening, Tanzanians did not know they were being manipulated. They didn't know they were being deceived. They didn't know they were being oppressed. It was an invisible oppression. It was an invisible colonization. And Tanzanians had been colonized by their own people who look like them, by their own black people. So the West used the leaders who were there to colonize Tanzania. But Tanzanians didn't know they were being colonized for a very long time, for years. Recently, Kenya had demonstrations. And Tanzanians were like asking themselves, who are Kenyans? Are Kenyans people from this earth? Because tell me why Kenyans will demonstrate until they get to the parliament, and they were even burning the parliament down. Tell me why that would happen. Tanzanians were feeling like, this is insane. But then Tanzanians sat down and then they asked themselves, are we really living better? Because Kenyans were demanding for accountability. Kenyans were only asking the government to turn down the finance bill and the budget that really oppressed them. Then they looked at their budget and they were like, why is it that Kenyans are demonstrating over something that looks better than even what we are having in Tanzania? Theirs looks somehow better. What we are using in Tanzania is even more worse than what Kenyans are demonstrating about, but we are just okay. We are just peaceful. We are not even demonstrating. We are not even complaining. Does it mean we are that behind? Then Tanzanians started looking at how they have been living, at how their governments have been treating them. You know, it is like being lied to and being made to believe you're living better, yet you're not living better. Being manipulated, that is now what we call manipulation. You are manipulated to think you're living better, you are living okay, you are staying safe, yet you're not staying safe. People are taking advantage of your peace, your calmness. People are taking advantage of you not causing chaos. And by them taking that advantage of you, they made you to believe. They have created a system where you believe you're living better, yet you're not living better. And Tanzanians look at everything that was happening. Tanzanians looked at their constitution. They were asking themselves, why are Kenyans demonstrating that way, and the government is not being that harsh on them? They looked at their constitution. They compared it to the Kenyan constitution, and then they realized, oh, we are very much behind. That is when they knew they have been manipulated for years. They've been taken advantage of for years, and they felt like, no, we need to make a change. And that is where now the problem began from. Tanzanians would have fought for a new constitution from the word go. Tanzanians would have fought for the amendments of the constitution from the word go. But Tanzanians are fighting the government, yet the government has power over the people. People do not have power over the government. The government has power over the people. The government can wake up tomorrow and say, everybody who tries to stand against my government to be shot down. And that is what will be. That's what will happen. And therefore, they tried to do this at a very wrong time. They didn't do a good timing. They didn't come out at the right time. They came out at the wrong time. And after coming out at the wrong time, the government was doing anything it wanted to do to them. The government was ready to do away with them carelessly. The government was ready to collect down on the ground as many bodies as possible. The government was ready to destroy people anyhow. And the government was not fearing anything. Why? Because the government knew, I have power over the people. There is anybody can tell me. I can decide what I want in this constitution. I can grab even the article that says protect human beings or human rights and put there, kill human beings. And that is what has been happening in Tanzania. And that is why you find out that Tanzanians have been killed. Tanzanians are being buried on the mass graves. Tanzanians are being charged with treasons over the mistake that does not even requires anybody to be charged with treason. But nobody can talk about it in Tanzania. Only outside countries and all that, those are the countries that are talking. In Tanzania, the president has the guts and the power to arrest the opposition leader and jail them and stand on the ballot, contest all by herself. In Kenya, you cannot arrest an opposition leader because immediately you do that, the country burns down. Why? Because the constitution allows many parties. The constitution allows many people to contest. You can't arrest an opposition leader in Kenya. If you try, the country burns down. Because we have a strong constitution, a constitution that protects the people. And that is the problem, the biggest problem that is in Tanzania. And if Tanzanians want to be free, if Tanzanians want to be safe, the only thing they need to do is to really amend the constitution. And they should be fighting to amend the constitution. They should be fighting for a new constitution, a constitution that will protect them, number one, that will give back power to the people. You know, a long time ago in Kenya, constitution had given power to the president. The constitution that Tanzanians are using today is a constitution that Kenyan used a long time ago, in the years of 1990s. But now we have a constitution that brought back power to the people. Tanzanians need a constitution that will bring back power to the people. Right now, people in Tanzania do not have power, and that is why they don't have the say over the government. They can't say anything over the government. That is the main problem in Tanzania. It's not about politics. It's not about political differences. It's not about anything else. It is about the constitution. And Tanzanians, the only thing they need to fight for is for a new constitution. That is the only thing, the only weapon that can save them. Even if it won't save them fully, but at least it will save them. That is where they can find reforms. That is where they can find peace. That is where they can find justice. But right now, the president has power. The president can say anything he wants to say, and the people have to follow it. Yeah. That's my opinion. Tell me what you think on the comment section. I will do my best to make sure I read all the comments and give a response where possible. I am Atamba Haiti from the African Streamline, and this is African Streamlines Roundtable. Thanks for coming. Until next episode, peace be with you.
Trump doing a bunch of stuff, y'all. Now, I don't know how y'all gonna feel about certain things that are being implemented, but I told y'all it was coming. I really think people just didn't take it serious enough to, make moves. I remember in the past, I was telling y'all, those of y'all that are, working for the government, y'all jobs are not safe, for example. I'm just saying, I was saying that y'all jobs are not safe. He coming up in there, moving furniture around. But now we got deeper. I want to play a couple of videos really quickly. And, some of y'all gonna think it's a good thing. Some of y'all gonna think it's a bad thing. I'm gonna just play it. We're gonna go from there. But yeah, and the government shut down again. But don't forget, the government was shut down the last time that he was president. Y'all remember that, right? And y'all should remember a lot of these moves that Trump did this time around so far. He did it the last time. He did it his last term. The exact same thing. Sending the militia to Chicago. He did that the last term. This time he did DC and Memphis. It was the same thing. Talking about something about to stop crime. Yeah, okay. We'll see. All right, they saying this government shutdown right now is the second longest in history. I'm getting ready to play the video.
It is day 22 of the government shutdown. That's 22 days of uncertainty for federal workers who don't know when they'll get their next paycheck. The path to reopening the government remains unclear. CBS News congressional correspondent Nicole Killian joins us now from Capitol Hill. Nicole, what's the state of play in Congress as this shutdown drags on?
Yeah, well, this is now the second longest shutdown in history, eclipsing the one that occurred during the Clinton administration back in 1995. And we did see the Senate try yet again to vote on government funding. They took a procedural vote, but that failed yet again, pretty much with the same dynamics. Only 3 senators, 2 Democratic senators, 1 independent, who voted in